Happy Halloween, everyone! Hello, fellow Daz Studio enthusiasts. This is Not From This World, and I want to welcome you to another tutorial series. Today, I thought it would be pretty cool to perhaps take you step by step in the process of how I would create a scene. And we're going to be utilizing a lot of the different methods that I have made previous tutorials on to make a nice Halloween scene, because Halloween's coming up and I was feeling kind of in the mood for making a nice Halloween scene. And so we're basically going to start from scratch here, and we're going to build a scene together. So if you watch all the way through, you're going to be able to see my finished product, and I hope you like it. So let's get started. We're going to start with our base figure, and I am starting with a Genesis 8 figure. This is the base figure, and it wouldn't be a Not From This World's tutorial if I didn't make her into my Milica girl. So I'm going to go to my Genesis 8 female. I'm going to find my characters, and I have Milica in a subset right here, so I'm going to select her. Once I'm in our Milica folders, I'm just going to scroll down until I find full apply, and most characters have this, so I'm going to apply everything to Milica, and I'm going to make sure that I have her eyes the color I want, and I can apply some makeup. Now we're going to make her into a Halloween costume, or give her a Halloween costume. So I think I'm going to go with bright red lipstick, and I do like her eyeshadow. So we're going to add some nice makeup to her. Okay, so now I have Milica. We got to add the hair I like, so I'm going to get out of my character folder. I'm going to go to my hair folder, and the hair that I usually give her, well, I've got several hairstyles I like, but I think for this we're going to keep it really cute, and I'm going to select her pigtails again. I just really think she looks cute in pigtails. So I'm going to add my G8 pigtail hairstyle. All right, now I'm going to come over, select her hair, and Milica has black hair. So I'm going to go to the mats. We're going to find her black hair and make her hair black. Okay, so after I do this, I am going to get the clothes I want on her. And what Milica is going to do this year for Halloween is she's going to be kind of a kitty cat. So that's, pretty typical for a sexy girl to be a kitty cat. So I just actually downloaded a kitty cat clothing, and I'm going to find it here. It's right here. It's called the B-Rock Snap Up, and I thought this was just pretty cute. She's going to have a little bat choker and kind of a sexy little mini skirt and a top. So we're going to select all of Milica, and we're going to get these clothes on her. Now that I have the clothes I want on her, I am going to get rid of her underwear because I just had them simply because it's YouTube and we can't show her naked. So I'm going to find those clothes, which are her cat ear top. And I'm just going to delete that, and I'm going to delete her underwear. And now we have her in the correct clothing that I want. All right, now I'm going to find a good pose for her. And I have already picked one out that I like. So I'm going to go back to my G8 folder, go to poses, and I believe her pose that I wanted is in standalone here. And if I scroll down, we're going to give her kind of a cool pose. When I am doing a lot of creations, I will often start with a pose. So I kind of like this pose. So we're going to put her in this pose. And I like it, but we're going to change it. So I want her looking at the camera. So a lot of times I will use these pre-made poses and then, just change them to what I think looks best. I just find it easier to use poses that are pre-existing because you don't have to move as much of our character. All right, so that looks pretty good. Let's see if we can move her choker here. Just kind of want to rotate it around. So because her choker isn't in the right spot, the reason for that is her neck. So I'm going to have to adjust the neck a little bit. There we go. So I want this kind of straight. So we're going to move the upper neck to get her facing the camera. All right. Now I already have some spotlights set up. So I have 3 spotlights kind of in my traditional one to her right. And I'm just going to adjust these a little bit. So I'm going to put one to her right, one spotlight to her left, and then kind of the traditional one spotlight directly in front of her. So we're just going to move these into place. And then we can do a quick eye ray. So I'm going to go back to my camera. I believe it's camera 2. Camera 1, I'm going to make a close-up of her so I can move this into position. And, we're always going to change and adapt, but that's a pretty good spot. I'm going to go back to camera 2, and I'm going to run an eye ray to see what it looks like so far. All right, so you can see, not too bad. Looks like the lighting's not quite perfect, but it's close. I'm going to go back to texture, and let's keep working. So what I want to do in this scene, I think I'm going to post it on some of my media sites, is I want her to be surrounded kind of by pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns, and then I'm going to put a pumpkin in her hand. So it just so happens that I found some nice pumpkin props. So I'm going to go up. I just looked up some Halloween props and found some jack-o'-lanterns that I really like. So I'm just going to find these. I have them in a folder called props. So I'm going to just come down, and these are under Wicked Creations, and we can find them under Morphing Jack-o'-lanterns. So I've got these jack-o'-lanterns. I'm just going to add these jack-o'-lanterns into our scene. All right. One thing I'm going to do is, I'm not sure if the pumpkin is on the ground and Milica is not. So I'm going to click on this, go to my parameters menu, and I'm going to go to move to floor, and that should move her up. See, it did. So now I don't have to mess with the pumpkins. They are on the ground, and so is Milica. So I'm going to take this pumpkin. Let's add this pumpkin. So that's even a bigger pumpkin. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to move it over to the side, and let's pose our pumpkins. Just put all of the different jack-o'-lanterns in place here. Okay, now I don't like this pumpkin here, but I'm going to use it as a uncarved pumpkin. I don't like that jack-o'-lantern face, but I'm just going to twist this around so you don't see it. You just see the back. And then see, I can make it into a pumpkin that has not been carved. So, when you're working in Daz Studio, you got to be creative. Another thing I can do, I can click on one of my existing pumpkins. So this is pumpkin number 3. I can come up to edit, duplicate, and I'm just going to duplicate this pumpkin. Going to move him over, spin him around so he looks like he is a uncarved pumpkin, and I can shrink him with the scale, shrink him down so he's a small pumpkin. So see, you just have to be creative and kind of think about how to add some stuff. So instead of looking up more pumpkins and spending money on more pumpkins, things like that, I'm just turning them around, making them different sizes, and then it looks like I just have a bunch of pumpkins. And so you want to just be as creative as you can with the props and the materials that you got. Okay, so this looks pretty darn good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a pumpkin to her hand. She's going to be holding a pumpkin. So I'm going to create one more duplicate here, and I'm going to put a small pumpkin in her hand. So this one is going to be too big, but let's kind of get it positioned. You can see it's huge. So I'm just going to get it kind of roughly into position, double click on it. That gives me the whole pumpkin, and now I can shrink it down. So I just want it to be in her hand like she's just holding it. Okay, pretty good. So we can zoom in. One of the things that I forgot is I have some little kitty ears. So I'm going to click back on Milica because this is a prop that I forgot to add. I'm going to go back to her clothing. I'm going to find her little kitty ears. Okay, so I found her little kitty ears. So I'm just going to add those to her so she looks like a little cat. Okay, so now we've got kind of the foreground. We've got our character posed. And so the next step is going to be adding some background. So we want kind of a scary background perhaps, or a Halloween type background. Okay, so I searched around and I found a haunted mansion that's going to hopefully be perfect. And you can see it's got a whole set of different props, and it's got a complete set. So we're going to save this. You don't want to forget to save your work. So I'm just going to type Milica Halloween. We're going to save this so that if anything crashes, we don't have to start over. So now that it's saved, I'm going to go and I'm just going to hit the complete set. Let's see what happens. I've never used this before, so it's going to be interesting to see how this looks. All right, it loaded right away. I'm going to go to my perspective camera and I'm going to zoom out to see where Milica is. And all right, so she's right in the very front of the house. All right, so you can just kind of figure out where your character is. Now, I think I want to change this a little bit, so I'm going to select hopefully the entire thing and see I can rotate it. So I want to put Milica right about here in the scene, and I'm going to kind of tilt it so that the house is behind her, but her and the pumpkins are in front of everything. You notice how I'm moving the house and terrain and rotating it rather than Milica herself. It's just going to be easier. Now I can go to my camera and we can see what we've got. I don't know about that. Let's keep it at this camera and we'll rotate around. See how we can orient this a little bit better. So I kind of wanted the house in the background. That's the edge of the house. So this is kind of at our limit here. Drop this down. And you can see I kind of have this set up here. I don't know. That's not horrible. Her foot is an issue. So we're going to raise her foot up. I might just raise Milica up the whole character just a hair. Okay, let's run a simulation or a iRay view because our mansion may have its own lights. Let's see what it looks like. Okay. I mean, we're getting there, perhaps. All right, so now I'm just going to make some adjustments. Some of these pumpkins are kind of floating and some of them are buried. I think it's going to just be easier to move the whole thing. Okay, not bad. So I can move this around, maybe make the camera at a slight angle. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is jack-o'-lanterns, of course, have their own candles. So I'm going to add a candle to each of these. And it just so happens that if I go to my render content library and type in candles to search, I'm going to get some nice candles that can be illuminated. I have these already downloaded. So I'm just going to click on one of these candles, and you can see that, oops, I'm going to just select the candle, and you can see it's right behind Milica. So I'm going to take this candle. Let's put it into one of our jack-o'-lanterns. So I'm going to just put it into this one, put it down like it's stuck in there. And then with the candle selected, I'm going to go to Surfaces. Under my Surface tab, under the flame, you can see the candle is made up of several things. I'm going to select the flame, go to emission, and I'm going to knock this emission down in its emission temperature to about 2500 because it's a candle. It should be kind of yellow in color. And then I'm going to raise its luminance to about, let's try 3000 just to see what that does. Let's run a iRay test, and we're going to focus on this candle right here. All right, so you can see that it is illuminated. I don't know if it's bright enough, but it is illuminated. We could even go more. Let's do 5000 just to see what it looks like. Okay, that's better. So now that I have this candle set up, I'm just going to get out of the iRay mode, and I can just simply duplicate my candles. So once I have the one candle made, it's got the right luminance, I'm just going to make 3 more candles and put them into each of the jack-o'-lanterns. Edit, duplicate, duplicate node hierarchies. And now I've got this candle, put him in that jack-o'-lantern, duplicate that candle, and see, it's right there. So I can move it into my 4th jack. Maybe make this offset just a little bit so the flame's not in the jack-o'-lantern's nose. All right. Milica is kind of in a weird position, I noticed, so we're going to lower her down. And that foot I messed with, so I'm going to put it back. She's got these really kind of high heel boots that are kind of hard to pose on this terrain. I might have to move her forward just a hair, raise her up. All right, and then I'm going to adjust my camera. I'm going to take Milica here. I'm going to turn her head so she's looking kind of more at us. Or maybe, I'll probably move her eyes some. Now we've moved Milica so her pumpkin's not in the right spot anymore. So let's just quickly get that in. Put it in her hand again. That looks pretty good. Let's run a test. Let's just see what this looks like. All right, not bad. You can see the pumpkins are illuminated. We could actually perhaps even illuminate them more. I think I'm going to adjust my spotlights so that it's a little bit darker where the pumpkins are. So I might focus in, zoom in on Milica, make her brighter, and then the pumpkins and the background darker so that she kind of stands out and the pumpkins are glowing. Let's get out of iRay. I'm going to go back to texture mode. I'm going to select my other camera and kind of pose it. All right. With her, let's go to pose control. I'm just going to type in eyes. G8 character, you put the S on eyes, and then you get all of her eyes. We can move things side to side. So I'm going to have her kind of looking like that. And then I want to have her smiling. So I'm going to get rid of the eyes. And let's just type in smile. And we'll get all of our smile morphs. That's pretty good. She's so cute. Okay, let's get into camera number 2 again. And let's start adjusting our spotlights. So I'm going to take this first spotlight. Spotlight number 1. I'm going to select it in the parameters tab. Let's look at its light. So let's go to photometrics, and you can see it's at 15,000 at 6,500. So I'm going to adjust this a little bit, kind of focus it more on her. And that's okay. I'm going to drop this down to about 3,000. I'm going to go to my second spotlight. I'm going to drop it down lower. And it is also at 15,000. Let's drop it down to 5,000K. And then our third spotlight, which is in the center, I'm going to move it down also. And it's at 15,000 lumens. And let's, spotlight 3 is at 15,000 lumens. Let's drop it down to 4,000 temperature. Let's go back to our camera and run another test. It'll be interesting to see how this looks different than what we were just looking at a second ago. Okay, so I've been playing around with the spotlights, and I raised their temperature back to 5,000 and moved one closer. And the big thing that I did is I went up here to the environment options, and I changed my environment mode to scene only. It was at dome and scene, and that made it just too bright. And so you can play with this. Dome and scene makes it look like this. Sun and sky only kind of has a cool effect, but it just doesn't work for my Halloween. That's pretty cool. It looks like the sun is setting, but not what I want. Dome only doesn't really change much, but when I went to scene only, that means that there's no external light. It's just my spotlights. So I really like this because my spotlights are kind of highlighting Milica. You can see that my jack-o'-lanterns are glowing, but the house is not illuminated at all. You can just barely see the house. So what we're going to do, I think the first thing we're going to do, so I'm going to go to my candles, back to emission, and I'm going to raise my candles in my jack-o'-lanterns up to 8,000. I want those jack-o'-lanterns rather bright. Okay, so now I've got my jack-o'-lanterns a little bit brighter. And now I'm going to get out of iRay because my computer's noisy. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this. The next thing I want to do is I want to illuminate the house a little bit, because when I'm in just the scene only, my spotlights are not shining on the house and they are almost completely black. So to do this, I'm going to create a ghost like I did last week in my other tutorial. And so I'm going to select a sphere. All right, and hit accept. I'm going to take my sphere. Let's raise it up and move it behind Milica. And then remember, to make a ghost light, I'm going to go to my surface tab. And with my sphere selected, I'm going to select it in the Surface tab. And then, if you recall, we go to the Daz Studio Formats. We go to Daz Studio Library. I'm going to scroll down to the shader presets, iRay, and then Daz Uber. And then we select this emissive light, double click it. Then I'm going to go up to the scripts. We're going to go to Utilities, and I'm going to select this Create Advanced iRay Node Properties. Double-click that. Then I'm going to come up to my parameters, go to Display, and hit Enable iRay Matte. Turn that on. And then go back to my Surface tab, go to Emission, and now we have this menu. Change my luminance units to KCD over M squared. And now I have my ghost light created, and I'm going to move it. So I'm going to go on to my parameters tab, And we're going to move it, and I'm going to put it on the porch. So I'm just going to kind of move it onto the porch. So it's kind of above Milica. And in my surface tab under emission, I'm going to knock this down. The default is 5,000 lumens. So I'm going to change this luminance. Let's knock it down to 2,000. And let's change our emission color. I don't know how this is going to look, but it's Halloween. I want it kind of orange in color. We're going to leave this emission temperature the same. And then I'm going to go up and click on the sphere. And remember, to make our ghost light invisible, we're going to scroll down to where it says refraction index and refraction weight. Remember, I knock that index down to 1, and I raise this refraction weight to 1, and that makes my ghost light invisible. So let's run an eye test, and let's just see what this orange looks like. We may want to change it to yellow or even white, but let's see what it looks like. It might look cool. Very orange. I don't know, do we like that? I kinda do. I think that looks pretty cool. So next I'm going to duplicate my ghost light, and I think I'm going to put them in the windows of the house. So to do this a lot easier, I'm going to get out of iRay. It's just so much easier to work in texture mode. And I'm going to take this refraction weight, I'm going to drop it back down to 0 so I can see my ghost light. With my ghost light selected, I'm just going to hit edit, duplicate. And now I've got this other ghost light. I'm going to take it, and I really don't know what's going to happen, which is pretty cool. I'm going to knock it into this window, and I'm just going to move it so that it's kind of between the two windows. And let's go to surfaces and change that refraction weight. Let's increase it back to 1 so it's invisible. We'll take our other original ghost light, raise its refraction weight to 0, and let's run another iRay test. When you're creating a set, you're just going to be moving back and forth from texture mode to the iRay mode, testing, looking, especially when you're setting up lighting. And, lighting and posing are probably the two most time-consuming parts of setting up a render. Now, that is really quite bright. So with our second ghost light, I think what I may want to do is knock its color down, its luminance down. It's at 2000. Let's see what it looks like at 500. Okay, that looks pretty cool. And with this sphere selected, let's duplicate it. I'm going to get out of iRay, go back to texture. Let's duplicate the ghost light that we have. And now we have 3 ghost lights. I'm going to select that third one. And it's going to be a lot easier if I get out of invisibility. I don't know what you call that, but I'm gonna go to my refraction weight, and we're gonna drop this back down to 0 so we can see it. I'm gonna go to parameters, and with my third ghost light, I'm just gonna move it so we can see it's moving, and I'm gonna move it into these other windows. See that? All right. So now I have my ghost light set up, and I'm going to make this one invisible. Not that it may matter because it's behind the wall with the windows, but we don't want any extremely bright light. So I'm going to raise that refraction weight back up to 1 to make that 0 or invisible. And now we have our scene. Let's open up the whole thing. And one thing that I just noticed that we need to do is we need to create a background. And, with this background, I'm going to go to environment, the background. I'm going to browse. We could do a sunset that's orange again. Do we want all that orange, or do we want dark sky, stars? Let's try just to see what it looks like. This is an oceanscape, but I just wonder what it's going to look like if I select it. See, that's kind of a nice dull orange. So that background may be perfect. And let's run an iRay test. Okay, so with this iRay test, it looks pretty good. I think I should add a little more lumens to my spotlights. Maybe highlight Milica a little bit more, make her the center. And then I think I'm going to want to add some leaves to the ground around the pumpkins. So I am going to add a couple more items. Let's get out of iRay. All right, I'm going to take a minute and mess with the spotlights, and let's get those a little bit brighter. Okay, so what I did is I just took my spotlights and I raised them each to 25,000. So my 3 spotlights are now at 25,000. And I think that looks better. Milica is more pronounced. There's more light shining on her. And that's what I want. She is the star, and everything around her is a background. Okay? So that looks good. I'm going to get out of iRay. And I have some props that have leaves. So I'm just going to run a search for leaves. Let's see what we get. All right, so I know I have just scattered leaves. So I think what I'm going to do is just add some scattered leaves. That looks great. Add some more scattered leaves. There's different colors, as you can see. We've got other leaves here. So this is a cool prop. I can't remember exactly where I got these props, but when you do a search, it is just says fallen leaves. That is going to look pretty cool. So let's now again run a test. I think we're almost ready. Oh yeah, so you can see those leaves really do add to the scene. In fact, I'm going to get out of iRay. Let's add a few more leaves to the ground. And I think this is almost ready to render. Okay, everyone. So I've got 2 cameras, kind of a close-up. I think I'll adjust this a little bit. Maybe just kind of focus in on cute Milica with this one. And let's do an iRay test. One last iRay test. It looks awesome. I like that. Let's look at the other camera. This is the full body view. Looks great. Look at those leaves. The leaves are just kind of all over the place. That looks great. I love the background. Okay, so now I'm just going to get out of iRay. I'm going to save it. Always save. All right, everything looks really good. The last thing I think I'm going to do, just to maybe enhance this a little bit, is let's blur the background a little bit with our camera. So I'm going to go to my perspective view. We're going to zoom in with this camera into the scene. Now, my perspective view is not a camera that's going to render an image. We're just going to use this to set up depth of focus on our cameras. So I'm just going to get this kind of into position. All right, so I have my camera set up here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to select the camera that we want to add a depth of focus to. Let's see, where's my other camera? Okay, so see, I have 2 cameras here. So let's do this one first. We're going to set up a depth of focus. So I'm going to select the camera, and I'm going to come down with the camera selected under parameters. We're going to hit camera, and we're going to have this focal distance and depth of field. I'm going to turn the depth of field on, and you see it creates this box. I do have a tutorial on this as well. And then we can adjust the depth of focus. Now, this is camera 2. So let's go to camera 2 and let's see if she's in focus. And the background should now be blurry. Oh, you can see, perfect. So Milika's in focus, hopefully. Sometimes with iRay preview it's a little difficult, but she looks in focus. The pumpkins look in focus, but you can definitely see the house and everything is not in focus. So I like that. We're going to keep that. I'm going to get out of iRay and let's go back to our perspective view. We're going to select this camera and we're going to do the same thing. All right, and let's go to that camera. That's camera number 1. Let's see how in focus this is with NVIDIA iRay. Oh, it's beautiful. So you can see that Milika is in focus and the mansion in the background is out of focus. It's just such a cool thing to just enhance your renders just a little bit. Okay, I really think we're ready to render these pictures. I'm going to go back to our texture mode. I'm going to save this bad boy. Always save. I'm going to open up the entire scene and I'm going to render both of these pictures at once in render queue. So Windows, pane, render queue. Remember, for those of you that may be watching this video for the first time, Render Queue is an add-on that you have to purchase through Daz Studio, but it's super cool because it will render more than one picture, one after the other. So I'm going to hit Add Current, and I've got 2 pictures, so I'm just going to hit All Visible Cameras, hit OK, and then hit Render, Start Rendering, and we are rocking and rolling. Here is our 2 renders. These should go pretty fast because there's not a lot in this scene, believe it or not. The biggest thing is probably still our character Milika. So this should render in just a couple minutes. Let's check it out. It's already going into the second one. See, that only took 1 minute and 6 seconds to render. All right, everyone, so I have my 2 renders. I think they look pretty good, pretty pleased with them. I really hope that you enjoyed the video and learned some things. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. I always try and answer comments, especially if you have a question, and I'd love to hear what you'd like to see next. Have a safe Halloween, be careful out there, and have a wonderful weekend.